Buenos dias. What's going on, everybody? Let's get this party started. Tonight we're going to blow some cookies. Are you a follower? Or are you a beer? Today is Monday night, July the 25th, 2022, and the time is 8:45 Central. Brothers and sisters, we're going to break down the code tonight. This is all a part of what we've been preparing for as we prepare for the mycelium network, which is the physics of feelings that unifies you back with source. Some people call it the universal unified field of physics. That starts on August the 15th. Cost is $249. Go to the website and make the payment so that way you can over and understand that unfortunately you've been lied to. From the perspective of, as we've been talking about all this week, hopefully you guys, especially with the GTA class, narrowcasting versus broadcasting, what we talked about today, would you recognize your soul in the dark? So if you're standing in the dark, would you recognize your soul? Probably not. Why not? Because we're not connected to the soul. And when I say that, I'm talking about myself too. Remember, every show that I do is a show about me. I'm just inviting you along to maybe there's something that I'm going through that you can relate to. That's it. So I want to say this in advance, especially with the night show and every show moving forward, because now we're getting into physics. So everything that we talked about now has a scientific explanation of a cosmic control system. So the universe shifts around any intent. So now we know that thoughts are gravity. Now we know thoughts are heavy. Now that we know thoughts is what you call gravity. So the whole universe is held here because of thought. If there is no thought, there is no gravity, everybody would just fly off the planet. From the perspective of understanding, the reason that you are where you are is because you thought that thought long enough for you to are that. So that you are that. So why would you are that? Why would you be that? Why would you be poor? Why would you be sick? Why would you be, not saying that you are, but wherever you are, that's not where you're supposed to be. How do we know? Well, today's show, I posted both shows on, all three shows, the last three shows on my YouTube channel, but they keep deleting it, so I got to outsmart the system. So the YouTube channel is underneath the YouTube channel. So I went to the old YouTube channel that has nothing but stuff from my coffee shop days on the cover. So if you type in, if you go to YouTube, Master Teacher 3333, there's a whole other set of videos back there. For some reason or other, that keeps my videos from being deleted by YouTube. I don't know why. But if you go to Master Teacher 33, you see old wedding videos and old videos that from 20 years ago, personal stuff. But if you add another 33, that's what all of the videos that like today. So the reason I'm saying that is that what I told you guys today, that show is worth about at least 5 or 10 grand. Because we went through everybody's numbers based upon your cosmic code, which is, you call it your astral sign. And the 3 words that tells you exactly where you are when it comes to connecting with your market. That's what you have to be. Right now, you're a follower. Most of us are. Right now, we're following somebody else's teaching. We go to TikTok, we see something we like, and we implement it. Or we read a book, and we implement it. Or we do this, and we implement it. So it's very hard to find someone that's not an implementer. It's very hard to find someone that is intuitiver. That means that they are operating from a space of their intuition. Very difficult to do. And remember, we said that the people who are born with that natural disposition, those are the people that is born between January the 19th and March the 21st. We call those fishes or Pisces. So the Piscean age was the age of the intuitive visualizer. So the opposite of intuitive simply means that you are not listening because you don't have no intuition, you don't have no tuition money to go in. So you're not paying attention. So it's not free. Now, everybody has the same problem, but we just came out of that age of the Piscean age. Now we are in the age to acquire us. And now that we are in the age of acquire us, now we're going up. And that is the age of getting out of the box. So the whole universe, now there's individual codes underneath the code. That's underneath the code. So we're talking about 3 codes in order for you to be what is called a sovereign individual. So a sovereign individual has decoded the code of the code. That means that you are sovereign. So when you are sovereign, that's like Grand Theft Auto. That means that you now know that your thoughts have mass. Now you know that your thoughts are heavy. So you can't have thoughts with big butts. Because if you say, Doc, I am going to be rich, but that but means that you just canceled that thought. So you can't have thoughts with buts. Because the heavier the thought, the more it attracts. That's what's called the law of attraction. It should be the law of thought action. So thought action is attraction. So if you understand thought action, that simply means that mass is really thought. Now we will get into the physics of phase conjugation in Dan Winter's work on the new class that starts on August the 15th. Cost is $249. This is a big boy class. This class was talking about the thoughts that are backwards, or thoughts that are backed by formless substance that produces. So formless, nameless, touchless, tasteless, sightless. Get rid of your five senses. That's what we're talking about. But we're going to look at it from a physics. So the physics are the physics of being. Right now, most of us, we do not operate in the physics of being. We are operating in the physics of following. So the arrangement of your mind, and your mind is always arranged in the image of all you believe and all you consent to as true. Remember, you don't see the world as it is. You see the world as you consent. Remember, we already broke that down. So hopefully you've been following along like the last week. Really 2 weeks, all of the messages, some posted, some are not. Some are, pay-per-view. I'll turn them into audio books. Hopefully you've been listening. Because if you've been listening to the last 2 weeks of all the shows that you've been doing, you just got a PhD in over and understanding the unified field of physics. Now, that simply means that you are a sovereign. That means that your flaws have uniquely prepared you for your cause. So I can't follow you. So as we talked about today at 12 noon, you have a choice to make today. Would you recognize your soul in the dark? And I gave everybody their story, their struggle, your strategy, and your success. Now you have it because you listened to the show earlier today. So now that you know your story contains your struggle, and remember, you can only connect with people based upon their flaws. Excuse me. So people who are flawed together, those are the people who are able to vibrate together. So it's not the people, which is why relationships, a lot of them don't work, because people get together with people that have similar successes. They don't have similar messes. So your message is your mess with age. You may have a lot of mess, but maybe you don't have enough age. A lot of people are just not old enough. It's okay. Just stick around. Cause remember, light didn't come on to me shit until I turned 40, 45. Then it started to burning bright till I hit 50. So let me make sure everybody understands. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You may have a big mess, but shit, you just a baby. You still got Similac on your breath. Yeah, that smells like powdered milk. You just got off your mama's titty. So if you under the age of 40, you just got off. I mean, if you under 40, you still hooked on the titty. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Just, keep going to church. You be all right. Keep hanging out with TDJ's Creflo. But once you get over 40, okay, now you get into the accountable age. Now the light should start coming on. Because now the shit that I be talking about, your purpose, your plan, and your payoff, remember, know it, expand it, give it, or live it. Remember all the stuff that we've been doing. Now, if you are still broadcasting, your ass going to be broke in about 3 months. You got 3 months before your money's gone. If you're not narrowcasting and you still broadcasting, oh, boo-boo. The world has passed you by already, bro. Keep your day job. Why? Because now we're not in that age no more. We're in the age of the 7 reasons or feeling state, as we already talked about. So if you've been following along the last 2 weeks, now you know that we are in a state where your oneness makes you psychic, so you stop judging. And now you start knowing that all is energy, and you can mold it and manifest with thought. And so that allows you to be light. So that means that your thoughts are light. So guess what? Gravity doesn't affect you. So I'm exempt and immune from karma because everybody that I treat bad, they're here by consent. Karma doesn't affect you unless you violate consent. Now, nobody has ever told you that. It's probably the first time you've ever heard that in your life. And nothing wrong with it. Most teachers are spiritual narcissists. They do this shit because you're so enthusiastic and you're willing. So they just take your money. As a retired narcissist myself, I know the game. That's why I teach the game. So none of the witches and wizards and creatures, they don't like me. Because I tell you the truth, which is what? You're a sovereign individual. You don't need me, your mama, your daddy, your monkey, your squirrel, your rabbit's foot. You're a single standing column of waves that has chosen to solidify into whatever state you're in. So I'm just asking you, why the fuck did you choose that state? Now, if you want to stay there, shit, do you, boo. But I'm talking about the unified state of uniqueness, which is the unity of the thought of one. That's where I'm at. Now, I don't know none of this Ebenezer Baptist stuff. As a retired Baptist, I used to swing low, not no more. Now I choose the right words. I choose the right image so I can establish the right feeling. Remember, we've been talking about this for the last 2 weeks. So everybody's on board, right? You guys know, because all of this is building up to the clean that are clean on August the 15th, when we got to go behind the curtain. And I got to expose your narcissistic ego. It's not going to be, because I understand, because remember, this illusion that you have, which is based upon this evolutionary survival mechanism, that you think your ego is source. And you think all of the suffering and the feeling, all the shit, remember, just like me, I used to wear that shit like a badge of courage. I had privilege. It wasn't white, though. I had dark privilege. I felt dark shit happen to me, so God damn it, somebody needs to pay me. So I walked around with a chip on my shoulder because my spiritual ego had built up to a space. I ain't talking about 5 years ago, this was just 3 weeks ago. It's like my ego was on steroids. Now, very few people probably picked it up. Some of you guys picked it up. Because I was going hard in the paint. Because I had given consent to be true. But my consent was based upon a concept of reality, not God's mentality. So I had to withdraw my consent because you attract what you are, not what you want. So as I informed everybody, the universe that you live in is based upon your opinion that you form and hold. But again, the universe right now, look around. Everything in your life, all the problems, all the tests, all the challenges, all the obstacles, that's your universe. That's your R-Law, your A-U, gold, R-A, radium or radius. That's your golden eclipse. Excuse me. I just been working out, man. I feel thirsty. So guess what? Focus on what you can control. Period. Let me tell you the secret sauce again before we break it down even further. Focus on what you can control. So it's been 100 plus in Texas for the last 2 weeks. Can I control that? Well, I don't work for heart. So I'm not manipulating the weather and making shit hot so that way all you Negroes can get your panties in the water. So I don't give a beep about the weather. Why? That shit's out of my control. So everybody talks about stuff that you can't control. Why would you do that? You know what that's going to do? That's going to create more problems. See, you need to be this person before you can receive this frequency. Ooh-wee. That's called faith. This is your Bible too. So the Bible says that to him that has, more shall be given. I didn't write the Bible. I'm just regurgitating it for you. I'll keep it on. So the Bible says that him that has, and then it says that him that has not, the little that he does have, that shizit is going to be taken. So if you don't have the mental disposition of whatever it is you want before you get it, you in deep kimchi, which is the state of the average Alkedanon, which is the purpose of tonight's message, which means what? If you're a follower of blank, you can't be blank. So are you a follower of Jesus? Are you a follower of Muhammad? Are you a follower of Buddha? Are you a follower of Hare Krishna? Are you a follower of Master Teacher 33? Are you a follower of Wim Hof? Who are you following, boo? If whoever you following, if you following, you're not being. Your ass is in trouble. You need a job. You got to go get another job. You might need 2 jobs. So you can't follow. That means you got to be a sovereign individual. What does that mean? Think for your mother, beep self. Now, I'm not saying you don't listen to anybody. I listen to people. I watch YouTube videos. I do all of that stuff. And I hear what they say, and I say, that sounds interesting. I was just watching this girl on TikTok. She said that, numerology is whack. This shit is whack. Well, I said, wow, that's easy. She said the planet doesn't matter. And I'm thinking, damn, what the fuck planet she lives on? So she lives on Earth. So that means that the planet doesn't matter. That means she don't have a cycle every month. That means the moon doesn't affect her. That means that that means that the whole 28.5 day cycle, that the lunar cycle, that means that the Christ lunar germ seed oil doesn't go up her spinal cord to her pineal gland. Based upon the fact that she says that nothing cosmic affects. So that means that she's on some good, whatever she's smoking, I need some of that. But I know that shit can't be true unless she's a Muslim. Okay, then that maybe could be. Because maybe she got green eyes and red hair. And and O positive blood. Then what she's saying may be true because then she's a nitrogen breather. That's a whole other game. That's a whole other frequency. That's a whole other being. That means that they are the principle of power of the air. So changing your concept of yourself changes your concept of your reality, changes your concept of truth, and it changes your concept of your image. Once you change the opinion that you form and hold, your whole life changes. But I got to do the bad news, which is good news, which is what? As soon as that happens, your whole world going to turn upside down. What does that mean? So the big G sends you problems to prove that you are God. Only gods can solve problems. Skinny jean wearing, hair in the bun Negroes can't solve problems. Why? They beta males. Betas, they can't think like alphas. And phallic females, they can't think like seductive. They can't think sexy. Why? They can't think sensual. They can't think spiritual. They can't think superior. They can't think sufficient. They can't think supreme. Why? They went to church just like you did. They was taught that if a woman shows cleavage, if her dress is not past her knees, if she got anything showing, if you're over in the Middle East, anything showing except your eyeballs, you're well done. So all women suffer from that. That shit now is below the threshold of your detection. These are all money blocks. What is a money block? Let me be crystal clear on this one. We all got it. I just got a few less than you. A money block is a feeling that only pops up when you are in a conversation with somebody who challenges your belief system. Now, I must define a belief system. A belief system is an experience that left an energy imprint, positive or negative, on your DNA. Horse code test the mind of your people. Let me say this again. What is a belief system? A belief system is an experience that was so powerful that it left an energy imprint. It's called an embedded. It embedded itself in your DNA. So when I trigger, that pops up and you defend it like a Christian do. If you say something negative about Jesus around a Christian, you just got to keep saying it. Some of them that's well schooled in the game, like me, you got to say it more than one time. And then they're gonna ask you, man, what's up, bro? Why you got a problem with Jesus, man? Like, what happened to you? Did Jesus do something wrong to you? They got to defend it. Excuse me. Remember when I was in that circle? And I was on Facebook spending 8 hours a day debating with people. Didn't have no money, wasn't making no money, but I was a damn good debater. I debated everybody. I was smoking Negroes like Cuban cigars. Didn't have no money, but I had my ego. You see, the devil's smarter than you. See, you must be before you get. Damn. USB. I have a USB. What's on it? All of my important documents I want to save. USB. It's just like you must be. You must be a USB. You must. God cannot download His energy imprint into your USB because guess what? Your USB is full of shit. Not you personally, you know. Not you guys. Those other people that's not listening. So your USB said, I'm trying to save some data into your USB. But you full of Ebenezer Baptist. So I can't put source inside of that. You can't put new wine in an old wine skin. So we got to conundrum. You can't focus on what you can control because you're so busy focusing on what you can't control. That is the number one kicking your Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is the Negro that is focused on what he can't control. He watch TV, he's like, damn, COVID is coming back. Ooh, monkeypox. 2 cases of monkeypox in a whole month, and the Negro scared as hell to go outside. They dog, but he's a Christian though, go to church every morning, believes that Jesus can save the world. But his Jesus can't stop monkeypox. Crazy shit I've ever seen. Strapped up, Negro's masked up, got a whole hazmat suit on. Because there's 2 cases of monkeypox. Come on, man. I can't make this up. So what are you saying, Doc? Well, enough of the sarcasm. Let me digress. I don't want to disappoint anybody. Brothers and sisters, the DNA conscious transfer is the DNA's ability to conduct the analytical magnetic frequency because the DNA is a modulation or modulator. It is a code within a code within a code. At the darkest part of the DNA's code, there lies the brightest spark. Our spark is in the darkest part of your DNA. You got memories stashed, and you ain't telling nobody. You gonna take that shit to your grave. That's where your money's at. So if you looking for your money, I know where it's at. It's in that part that you don't let out because you're afraid, because you can't control it. Because when people talk about that, you get pissed off and you ready to put your hands on somebody's throat. And we're not talking about laying no holy hands on nobody either. You ready to choke the life out of somebody. You see, the reason why everything is going to work is because it has to work. Who you assume yourself to be. This is the law of being. Right now you are operating under the law of following because you're a follower. Everybody, myself included, I just following way back. I still hold on to the basic teachings of Jesus Christ and Him crucified, just like you. They slowly, because remember this shit was beat into all of us in our ancestors. You know how hard it is to you can't turn your back. You want to. Trust me, I did and came back like 3 times already. Why? That negative, that demon is not going to let your ass go. I wrote a whole book about him. His name is Cosmic Raptor. Stone Concordance number 2888. I got this shit memorized. I can spot his ass on another planet. Yet, he still got a hold of a piece of my heart. And a big piece, but he's still there. Why? There's a little voice in your head that's saying, damn, Doc, I don't know, what if? I know, I see you. What if? Well, nobody really knows what happens after death. If you understand physics, poof, what if is gone? So every time the what if comes up, I go back to the physics. Because without the physics, your ass is going back to church. It's just a matter of time. Because the demons that run that organization, them dudes work for Lucifer himself, if you want to call it that. That is negation. Negation is the absence of a thing. It is not a thing. Negation is the absence of what you call values or humility and the absence of perception. So negation is a tactic that is used to keep you trapped in groundhog state. Now, you could, if you want to say that it exists, you could. I mean, I ain't going to debate. I'm not going to debate. I'm just expressing to you a pothole is not a thing. Darkness doesn't exist unless the light is removed. Now, it says this also in Isaiah 48 when it says, I, Lord your God, is one. Nothing exists except me. That's only one frequency. So the fact that we give our consent to the dark empowers the dark, creates the tool power, which is a thought form being that when everybody be mass collected and then is taught by your reverend, your doctor, your bishop, that thought form being takes life. That then starts to manifest in people's bodies as a demonoid cyst called a teratoma. And it affects the teleology or the telomeres. But it's a tera. It is a cellular tumor that actually starts to grow. And remember, you guys can Google it and go click on images. And you see that teratoma, T-E-R, how you say it? T-E-R-A, tera, T-O-M-A. T-O-M-A. I think that's it. Yeah, T-E-R-A-T-O-M-A. The point of the nice message is, if you are following instead of establishing a being state, you're giving your energy to someone else or something. So they can only exist if you give them your energy. That's why the dominant culture fights so hard to keep you in a state of fear. Why? So you can feed. Whether it's a cerebral or a covert or what they call a somatic, S-O-M-A-T-I-C, if I remember, or a spiritual. The four main types of frequency disorders of a follower. Now, a follower is someone who is devoid or have not made the choice to assume who they want to be. So you can't choose a thought that is not in alignment with who you assume yourself to be. Let me say it again. You can't choose to be rich if you got a belief that you're poor. The reticular activating system will block that thought. It will only allow thoughts in that confirm existing narrative. Let me say this again slow, because this is what's going on. What does that mean? So, for example, if somebody does something to me and a feeling comes up and I get angry, this is what I do. Whenever I feel something, I ask myself, like today I had a feeling. I'm like, why do I have that feeling? Because something happened to me that, again, I was not, number one, expecting. Unrealistic expectation. Number two, misplaced dependency. So it's very, very important that you understand that when a feeling comes up, because remember, we already did the GTA, and we all know that the whole earth is Grand Theft Auto 5. That's why we come out with 5G. That's why they came out with Grand Theft Auto. And we all know that in Grand Theft Auto, the characters ride around, commit crimes and mayhem, and bang chicks on picnic tables, steal stuff. It's just a free-for-all with no consequences. But in real life, just like in Grand Theft Auto, there is a purpose to the game. So if you In order to win the game, some people just playing the game, but they're not trying to win. But the Bible says that if you want to run the race, you should run the race as somebody who wants to win. So it's like Grand Theft Auto. Number one, there has to be a purpose. Number two, you need a plan to accomplish the purpose. Number three, when you implement the plan to accomplish the purpose, bam, you get a payment. That's the same thing on earth. Unfortunately, there are people listening to me right now that don't have a purpose, don't have a plan, and don't have a payout. What's a payout? That means that I'm on this planet. Why do I wake up in the morning? I do not effing wake up for no damn money. So why do I get up? If it was just money, when my daughter died, I would have died too. Why? Nothing else to live for. Because I was the baby. You know, and I'm like, you have to be a father with children to understand what I'm talking about. And now being a mama and being a dad is so different thing. Because fathers, we're supposed to provide and protect. It's your only job if you're a father. And I didn't do that. Not well enough. Otherwise, some more would be sitting here walking around. So, in order for me to continue to exist, while my daughter walking around in a physical body, I need to know some shit that you don't. Otherwise, I'd be dead. I'd have committed suicide. That's just keeping it real. Because that's my story that I struggle. So I need a strategy if I want success. So most people don't have a stratagem. They don't have a strategy. You got a story, and you've been struggling, but you ain't got no strategy. Why? Because you don't recognize your soul. Why? Because you don't like your soul. Why? There's dark shit in there. Just like me. You buried it in your soul. Because the soul is the mind, the will, the emotion, the imagination, and the intellect. Now remember, I'm talking to sovereign individuals tonight. I'm talking to narrowcasters. I'm not talking to broadcasters. Everybody, remember, broad is the road that leads to destruction. That's 99.9% of the people on the planet and on this call, unfortunately. So out of every 100 people you talk to, there's one person that is a narrowcaster. A narrowcaster is somebody who narrowed down their focus to themselves. They don't talk about nothing. They don't read nothing. They don't do nothing that doesn't have to do with themselves, with their own purpose, with their own plan, and with their own pay. So a narrowcaster recognizes his soul in the dark. What does that mean? That means that a narrowcaster is so cautious of himself that as a narrowcaster, I am a detailed, constant expander. So in the dark, if I'm homeless and destitute, I don't know what to do. I'm going to focus constantly on expanding details. Remember, I gave that shit to everybody yesterday. So based upon your constant installation, the word constellation means constant installation. So source code is sitting at deep, every day, all day. You just ain't listening. Why? You got another program. What is it? Pain. Where'd it come from? Negative habit pattern. Where'd that come from? Somebody said something to you, something happened to you, that now has overridden your purpose. Now pain is in the place of purpose. And it only pops up when you listen to somebody like me, who challenges you to walk in your purpose instead of following somebody else's pain. So you get a choice tonight. You could continue to walk the broad, or you can walk the narrow. Now, if you choose to walk the narrow. Remember, family, friends, shit, husbands, wives, children, they're going to get pissed, they're going to leave, they're going to fall off. Why? Because they're used to you being a mama's boy. But if you ever go get your balls off that jar that your wife probably got, if you go pick your balls back and screw them back on, men, ladies, if you get your ovaries back from your husbands and pop them back in and actually start doing shit for yourself, the things that you actually like to do, that you designed by God himself to do, oh, that's going to be a problem in the house. Why? Men, we like women who submit. We don't give a shit how smart you are. We just need you to get our coffee, make us some food, do the laundry, I don't care if you got a dream. CEO of what? Should have been a CEO of that kitchen. The only reason, as I tell you guys, when I left in my relationship, my wife doesn't like when I talk about this, but she should like it because every woman needs to do exactly what she did. If you're a woman, every man should do the same thing, which is what? Love yourself. That's it. Is it wrong to love yourself? The church says it is. It's wrong to be selfish. That's why I don't go to church. Because I'm a selfish mother. What does that mean? That means that my exercise comes before Bible study. What does that mean? That means that I'm going to fix a salad and I'm going to eat healthy, and that takes time. I just can't run into McDonald's and grab something. Why? I'm going to take the time. Well, T.D. Jakes says that time that you got to spend to fix that salad, you could be giving that to Jesus. T.D. Jakes can suck my... Oh, okay, my bad. It's a family show. So what's the point? The point is that you Negroes got started up. You a follower. Now again, the world needs followers. Lead follower, get the out the way. Whichever lane you in, because I'm a leader. And I'm building leaders. It's an organization of leaders. Not followers. That means that you're a sovereign individual. That means you got a story. And your story is way more important than any story I've ever heard. Everybody on this call, you got a story. And I want to hear it. But you don't want to share it. Why? Because you haven't put it inside of a book so I can read it. Now, some of you guys have. Sister Diane put hers. Sister Cheryl West put hers. My boy Richard Rich put his. Dr. Span put his. Dr. Jerome. Everybody, you should put your story in a book so people like me can read it so you can build your audience. Because your story contains your struggle. And your struggle contains your strategy. And your strategy leads to your success. That's the only reason that people now know. We're talking about people who are not corporate. We're talking about people who are single standing columns. We're not talking about ordinary. We're talking about people who do not use average words because we're not average people. So I'm talking about a grandiose mindset that, as we talked about earlier today, a clear image is telling. This is my personal psycho-cybernetics success mechanism. I read that book when I was 21. Still use it. That's like my Bible for success. If there is not one book that you do not read other than my 300 books, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz is a must. Because in that book, it talks about the same thing that I've been talking about for 20 plus years. That book was published in, I think, 1950 or 1960. And in that book, the guy breaks down the psychology of a mental portrait. Excuse me. That is the key to my success. Your self-image is the cornerstone of your mental state. Sister Cheryl West, you should lead with that. That should be your logo. Or it should be somewhere on your website. You should talk about that. Your self-image, your self-concept, your self-consent is the cornerstone of your mental portrait. It defines your whole mother life. Your mental portrait is based upon your past experiences, your failures, your successes, your feelings, and your current behaviors. I know how you see yourself based upon how you be or how you follow. This is why, unfortunately, I cannot respect a follower. Can't. Why? You can't be and follow at the same time. Damn. Shit. That's hard. Let me make sure you understand. It's like you're born. Let's say you are born a fish. You come to the surface of the water, you see a bird. You're born with scales. You got a slim body. You got gills. so you can breathe in oxygen in the water. How's it done? It's a biological marvel. But you see a bird, and you are enamored with the bird. You see the bird soaring through the air effortlessly on the wind. You so taken away by the power of seeing the bird that you stop being a fish and you say to yourself, I am that I am. And it is done unto you as you believe. Since you believe that you are now a bird, the brain does not know the difference between fiction and reality. So the brain, since it cannot distinguish between your imagination and your reality, and so instead of your acts being based upon the information that is real, your whole behavior changes. Now, you still a fish. I know this shit like this transgender bullshit. Oh, your ass is a biological male, boo. I don't give a what. You still ain't got no womb. You still ain't have no cycle. You take all the estrogen and hormones you want. Your ass is still a biological male. You can dig up your motherfucking bones 1,000 years from now and tell a male from a female. It's in your bones. Oh, you're going to transfer, you're going to take them out too? You can tell a male from a female from its freaking mycelium network, which I will be destroying, unfortunately or fortunately, your entire belief system when we get into the physics of your feelings. So you don't want to pay me $2.49 unless you for real. If you steal that TD Jason Creflo dollar, you definitely don't want to hang out with me on August the 15th. Because, see, the answer lies in your imagination. See, we think ourselves to be incompetent, to be lazy, to be, knuckleheads, to be, alcoholics. We can create a new creative mental energy imprint anytime we want. We can totally start behaving and acting. I went into the Marines. I was 145 pounds soaking wet. Functional, literate, barely could read and write, couldn't jog around the block without getting exhausted. 3 months later, I came out 195 pounds of rock solid muscle. Could run a 3 mile under 18 minutes. That's 6 minutes. I doubt if you can run a mile. If anybody can run a mile right now under 6 minutes, should I give you $100? Just film it. I mean, it got to be legit. And then do that 3 times. Then do 60 sit-ups in 60 seconds. And I did that shit with ease. I went into the Marines a poor, broke, scared chicken. And 3 months later, I came out a killer, wanting to fight everybody. How did that happen? And I wasn't the only one. And they've been doing that shit for eons. How did the military do it? They change your self-image. They get rid of that negative habit pattern. How? They replace it with a stronger pattern. You don't have to join the military to do it. You can actually still do the same thing to yourself right now. That's the whole purpose of the life management system. Because right now, your brain is the only thing that is keeping you in Groundhog Day. Because what you are doing is you are interpreting various situations, and your brain is distorting the transcription or describing them in a way that fits your pain, not your gain. So the brain changes, distorts the frequencies that are coming in to match the frequencies that are within. Let me say it again. The brain distorts the frequencies that are coming in to match the frequencies that are within already. Let me say it again. The brain distorts. If I'm sending you positive, but negative is within, the brain distorts the positive so that way you can only see the negative, regardless of how positive. You could win the lottery and you're going to be angry and pissed off. Because the brain distorts reality to fit your mentality. So unless you change your mentality, you can't see reality. You're already wealthy, but you can't see it. You're already healthy, you just can't see it. You're already wise, you just can't see it. You can't get money. You are money. How are you going to get it? So you can't get what you already are. So unfortunately, you're following a distorted view of reality instead of being the real reality. What if a fish decides, I'm going to be the greatest fish that ever lived? Now, fish have some flaws. One of the flaws of the fish, they can't walk on land. Another flaw that the fish have, people try to check and view. You can call it a flaw that, people like to eat fish. And my wife, she loves fishing. She can knock out some seafood. Now, what's the point? Well, that could be a flaw if you're a fish, because you might not want to be caught. And you can't run on dry land, and you can't fly. However, the fish got some pretty good advantages as well. So just like the fish, you got some flaws, and you got some assets. So if I was you, I would do like the fish. I would look at my assets. I would ignore my flaws. I would stop dreaming about flying in the air. I would stop pondering and praying and wishing and saying, oh, Jesus, please, I want to walk on the land. Boo-boo, your ass is not designed to walk on land if you're a fish. Now, what if you're a tiger? But you dream of being a fish. You see, it's crazy. It's comical, but it's sad. Because most people live and die trying to be something that they're not. Shit, I did it for 40 years. I tried to fit. I'm a square pig. I tried to fit my black ass in a round hole for 40 plus years. Y'all have no idea. I tried. I was kicking butt. Please love me. Please validate me. Please accept me. Please pat me on the back. Please give me that attaboy. Man, I was so thirsty. Damn. I looked back at that old Negro and I was like, I don't even recognize myself. I was a sad dude. However, all this shit I'm teaching you today is what I got it from. So I went to the School of Hard Knocks so that way you guys don't have to go through that school. Now, if you want to choose to go through that school, because maybe you're like me, you're like, Doc, I appreciate your concern, brother. I want to figure shit out on my own. Boo. You like my son BJ. Bruh, take your ass on out there, homie. I got my popcorn ready. I already been down there. I love niggas with hard heads. Like my grandma used to tell me, boy. Then Mama Lynn used to tell me, damn it, every day, your life's gonna suck. Cause you don't listen. You go, I said, Big Mama, sit down. Obviously, I didn't say it to her face. But my grandmother didn't play. So I just like, Big Mama knows what she's talking about. She's going on out here. And my other grandmother the same way. Boy, don't chuck rocks at my chicken. Yeah, sit down. So I took my ass out there and chucked rocks at a chicken. Then I got beat to death. What's the point, Doc? Well, if you want to ignore and go off the beaten path and just do your own thing, there's some consequences that come to that. So what are you saying? I recommend, this is just a suggestion. Yeah, you guys, y'all grown. Y'all can do whatever the hell y'all want. Right? We all grown. I would suggest, again, just a thought. Just go put it out there. That I gave you the committee report. You paid for it. I just figured since you paid for it, you might want to read it. Since maybe look at a couple of pages. I'm just saying. You got to do whatever you want with it. However, if I was you, I would actually open it up. And if nothing else, I would just look at some of the pictures in there. For the one picture that entitled the Numerology Life Path Numbers at a Glance, I would look at that chart. This is the beginning of the DNA report. Because in there it says life path number 1, leader. Life path number 2, inward creator. Life path number 3, informed speaker. Life path number 4, problem solver. Life path number 5, endless talent. Life path number 6, responsible server. Life path number 7, source of knowledge. Life path number 8, material manifester. Life path number 9, humanitarian. Life path number 11, in the moment intuitive visualizer. Life path number 22, the material humanitarian master. Life path number 22, humanitarian master. Life path number 33, spiritual teacher. Again, life path number 33, spiritual teacher. So, I mean, I'm just the messenger. So, let me get this right. The big G made fish. In the Bible, it talks about kind. And he said he made each and everything after its own kind. So, kinds are not supposed to mix. That's where the whole racism thing comes from. But it wasn't color, it was kind. Like, fish ain't supposed to be mixing with donkeys. But the Nephilim did that. That's why they came up with the Minotaur. They had the half man, half horse. So they violated God's laws of kind. See, you are the God kind. So we just did the series on the God class, and you mixing with man. You're not a man. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that you are a man. And we read it in Psalms 82:6, where it says, you know, that you are God's children, but you will die like men. I mean, go read it. It says that do you not know that you are gods? So everybody in this call, you are an individual, as I've been saying for 20 plus years, an individual expression of God, but you went to church and they told you your work was well done and that you were a sinner. So what did you do? You established a mental disposition that was in violation of your kind. So the big G says, well, if they want to deny themselves, they want to give up their birthright and stop being priests and be peasants, it is done unto them as they believe. So the big deal was like, okay, if y'all want to be a peasant, shit, let them go be peasant. So he allows you to be who you want to be. Me, I just choose to be me. So I can't, my bad, no disrespect, but I can't follow you. Because I gotta be me. So I can't be me and follow you. So I can't be a follower and be a beer at the same time. You got to say, choose ye this day whom you will serve. You're going to be a beer? That means you're going to establish your own being? Now, what you do is you pull the shit out of the sky like they tell you when you go to elementary school. You can be the president if you want to. And you are designed. You have a predestination, contrary to popular belief. So what do? Well, followers can never be. Beers can never follow. This is why I like Dr. Jerome's thing. I gotta make that t-shirt. I am happily unemployable. Happy. I cannot be employed. My disposition gives it away. If I was to go to a job and I would sit down to be interviewed, the person interviewing me, because this has happened, would get pissed off. And they would say, well, you know, we looked at your resume, and this is what I always get. We looked at your resume, Mr. Rogers, and, you know, and it looked good, but it just kind of seems like you really, actually, you kind of overqualified, Mr. Rogers. You can actually be running an organization like this. Why would you want to, you know, settle for, you know, being, you know, working in our advertising department? I see that you used to run your own company, you used to do this, you used to do that. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Well, you know, I was just thinking, you know, so I'm unemployable. Every time I go to try to get a job, they always tell me the same thing. Now, remember, I'm talking like years ago. I haven't tried to get a job in 10 years. But before that, I used to go and look for jobs, and they would always tell me the same thing. Like, shit, based on your resume, you could take my job. why the hell would I hire you and put myself out of the job? So swipey, no swipey. That means thank you, but no thanks. So everybody on this call should be happily unemployable. You should go to a job and they say, I'm sorry that Jim Bob, but looking at your resume and the energy that you're giving off, I don't think it would be a good fit. What they're saying is, Negro, you think you're not a Negro no more, and you got the plantation, and you're smelling yourself. So you need to go back and put the chains on and get back on the block. Because you're still a Negro. That's basically what they're saying. But they got to put it in, terms that are a little bit more believable. So the same thing that's happening on the low racial level is the same thing that's happening on a higher spiritual level. You are a child of God. You're going to Lucifer, if he existed or exists, and you're asking him for a job. Lucifer knows he look at your resume and he says, shit, why the hell would I hire a little God up in here? Because if he figured out who the hell he is, he can take my job. So in the spirit realm, they know who you are, and you going to them for jobs. You are unemployable. Why? You are a light being. You are a phonon and a photon. This is phononics and photonics, as we'll be breaking down in August 15th. So my brothers and my beautiful educated sisters, today, take your time, don't no rush. You guys got plenty of time. You got to make a decision. And you got to choose you this day whom you will serve. That means your flaws are uniquely prepared you for your cause. However, you don't have to you don't have to step up to the plate and fulfill your calling. You could continue to hide and not activate or walk into your cause by ignoring your flaws. Now, your flaws will continue to pop up when you talk to people like me, because I'm going to say something that's going to trigger your past, because you had an experience where somebody said something similar and you got pissed off. That's your flaws, which are your strengths. So remember, when you lose, you win. When you win, you win. So all we do is win. So you don't have to be afraid of losing anymore. So I know when I lose, I win. How? Because I know there's always a ram in the bush. It's very important that you have that disposition. A perfect example is they was looking at purchasing something, and the wife looked at this and they said, like, no, for whatever reason, this didn't happen. So I immediately went online, went somewhere else, looked at it, and they said, yep, no problem. Let's do it. Problems are just God, universe, ether, thinking stuff, whatever word you want to use, testing you to see if you're going to take your ball and go home and say, yeah, I knew it. Nobody loves me but Jesus. Are you going to cry and you're going to pout? Or are you going to figure the fuck out? That's what problems are. It's just a test, just to see if you really want what you say you want. So when an obstacle comes up, and it will, be happy, because Source only creates adversity to give opportunity for his divine children to practice their divinity. Source only allows adversity. So his little shearings, can have the opportunity to practice their divinity. So happy God could. Let's keep practicing. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I appreciate you. There's nothing y'all can do about it. We're going to see y'all mañana. God bless.